The night was cold enough to break glass. Deputy Aaron Cole stood in the glow of his cruiser's headlights, breath ghosting in the air, snow drifting through the skeletal trees that bordered the old Miller farm. His K-9 Ranger shifted beside him, tense, ears pricked toward the flickering porch light ahead. Dispatch had received a single 911 call, a child's voice barely audible, then silence. Now, as Aaron stepped close to the house, a small figure appeared on the porch, trembling barefoot, eyes wide with something deeper than fear. "Please," the boy whispered, voice cracking. "Don't arrest my dad, he's sick." Aaron froze, one hand hovering near his holster, the other tightening on Ranger's leash. The boy couldn't have been older than 8. His face was pale, his lips blue from the cold, wearing only a thin T-shirt smeared with what looked like dirt or blood. Ranger gave a low growl, hackles lifting. "Easy, boy," Aaron muttered, lowering himself a bit. His training told him to assess, stay alert, read the scene. But there was something about the kid's eyes, that wide, glassy look, that crawled under his skin. "What's your name, son?" Aaron asked gently. The boy hesitated. "Eli." "Okay, Eli," Aaron said, glancing toward the house. "Is your dad inside?" Eli nodded once. Then quietly, "He's not bad, he just gets sick sometimes." The porch light flickered again. In its pale pulse, Aaron saw the front door was ajar. Beyond it, darkness, thick, still, waiting. Ranger pulled toward the door, whining softly. The K-9's nose twitched, catching something Aaron couldn't yet. Aaron radioed in. "Dispatch! This is Unit 4 on Hollow Creek Road. I've got a minor on scene, possible domestic. Request backup." The reply came through a burst of static. "Copy, Unit 4. Nearest unit's 20 out." "Of course," Aaron muttered. Hollow Creek was miles from anywhere, a stretch of dying farms and burned-out houses. He turned back to Eli. "Can you tell me what happened tonight?" The boy's fingers twisted together. He got sick again. He tried to lock himself in the basement, but his eyes flicked toward the darkness behind the door. "Then I heard him talking." "Talking?" Eli nodded. "But nobody was there." A gust of wind slammed the porch door against the siding. Ranger barked once, low and sharp. Aaron's pulse quickened. "All right," he said quietly. "Eli, I need you to stay right here with Ranger. He'll keep you safe, okay?" The boy nodded, shivering. Aaron stepped inside. The smell hit first, metallic and sour, like old pennies in rot. The air was heavy, humid in a way that didn't fit the freezing night. His boots creaked on warped wood. He clicked on his flashlight and swept the beam across the living room. It looked abandoned, dusty furniture, peeling wallpaper, photos on the wall blurred from moisture. But the coffee table was clean, fresh. A half-empty mug sat there, steam barely curling from it. "Hello?" Aaron called out. No answer. He moved deeper, scanning corners, the light trembling slightly in his hand. Then a sound, faint rhythmic, a scraping, coming from below, the basement. He swallowed hard, called back toward the porch. "Eli, is your dad down there?" No reply. "Stay put," he ordered, then started down the narrow basement stairs, every step groaning under his weight. The smell thickened, blood, definitely blood. Halfway down, the beam of his flashlight caught a figure. A man, slumped against the far wall, shirt torn, breathing ragged. His arms were streaked with deep scratches, skin pale as wax. But it was his eyes that made Aaron stop, wide, bloodshot, unfocused, darting around like he was seeing something that wasn't there. "Sir," Aaron said, staying a few feet back. "I'm Deputy Cole. You called for help." The man didn't answer. He just kept mumbling. Aaron edged closer, light trembling over the basement floor. Scattered around the man were tools, a hammer, a saw, ropes, and dark stains that looked too fresh. "Sir, I need you to stay still," Aaron warned. That's when the man's head jerked toward him. "He's not my boy," he hissed. Aaron's hand went to his gun. "What did you say?" "He's not my boy," the man roared suddenly, lunging forward. Aaron stumbled back, gun drawn. "Stay down." But the man didn't attack. He collapsed, shaking violently, his body convulsing on the cold concrete. Ranger barked upstairs, sharp and frantic. "Dispatch, this is Unit 4. Aaron shouted into his radio. "I've got a medical emergency. Adult male possibly seizing." Static. Nothing. He knelt, trying to check the man's pulse, weak, erratic. There was something off about his skin. It wasn't just pale. It looked mottled, almost bruised beneath the surface. "Jesus," Aaron muttered. Then a whisper, not from the man, from behind him. "He gets like that when it comes back." Aaron spun around. Eli stood halfway down the stairs, eyes wide. "Eli, I told you to stay upstairs." He said it talks to him. The boy interrupted. "At night, in the walls." Aaron's blood ran cold. The man let out a long, guttural moan, like air escaping a broken pipe. Then silence. Aaron checked his pulse again. Gone. "Eli," he said carefully, "we're going to go outside, all right? I'll get an ambulance out here." The boy didn't move. He just stared at his father's body. "He told me not to call," he whispered. "He said it would make it angry." "What would?" Eli's lip trembled. "The thing that lives under the house." Before Aaron could answer, Ranger let out a low, violent snarl from upstairs, the kind he'd only heard once before, the night they cornered a fugitive in the woods. Then came the sound, heavy, deliberate footsteps above them. Aaron drew his weapon again, scanning the shadows. No one else was supposed to be here. He looked at Eli. "Stay behind me." They crept back up the stairs, the wood groaning under their weight. Ranger stood rigid in the doorway, teeth bared, staring into the hallway that led to the back of the house. "Ranger, stay," Aaron commanded softly. The K-9 didn't move. Aaron followed his gaze and froze. There were wet footprints on the floorboards. Bare feet, leading from the kitchen to the back door. He had just checked that door. It was locked. Now it hung slightly open. Cold wind gusted through, carrying a faint whisper that made the hair on his arms rise. "Eli," Aaron said quietly, "we're leaving. Now." But the boy didn't answer. When Aaron turned, the boy was gone. His flashlight beam caught movement, a small figure darting toward a hallway that led down to the cellar door. "Eli, stop." He ran after him, Ranger at his side, nails skidding on the floor. The cellar door slammed shut before Aaron reached it. He yanked it open, light flashing over the stairs below. Empty. Then he heard it, a whisper from the dark. "He's not done being sick." Aaron's breath came fast. He backed away slowly, reaching for his radio again. "Dispatch." Static. He was alone. Ranger's growl deepened, a low rumble that vibrated in the floorboards. Aaron looked toward the front door and stopped. On the inside of the door, written in something dark and smeared, were 4 words. "Please don't arrest him." The air in the old Miller farmhouse had changed. It felt thicker now, like breathing through cloth, and every sound came slow and warped, as though the house itself were holding its breath. Deputy Aaron Cole stood by the front door, eyes locked on the message smeared in brownish red. "Please don't arrest him." The edges had dried. It wasn't written recently. He rubbed a thumb across the wall, flaking it slightly. Blood. Old blood. Ranger whined, pacing near the cellar door, his fur bristling. The K-9 was trained for combat and search operations. He didn't scare easy. But now his tail was tucked, ears pinned flat, nose twitching toward the dark below. Aaron knelt beside him. "You smell something?" A short, anxious bark. Then Ranger looked up at him, whining, and stepped back from the cellar entrance. "Okay, boy," Aaron muttered. "You and me both." He looked toward the porch. Eli was still gone. The wind outside howled against the boards, pushing at the walls. Somewhere deep in the house, something creaked, like a long exhale. Aaron keyed his radio again. "Dispatch, this is Unit 4, Hollow Creek Road. My comms are cutting, requesting immediate backup and medical." Static hissed. Then, faintly, a voice. But not dispatch. "He's not done." Aaron froze. The voice wasn't coming from the radio. It was coming from under the floor. He turned off the radio completely. The whisper stopped. Ranger gave a low growl. "All right," Aaron said quietly. "We're getting the kid and we're getting out." He moved down the hallway, sweeping each room with his flashlight. Dust. Broken furniture. A family photo nailed crooked on the wall. A man, a woman, a boy between them. Eli looked maybe 5 in that picture. The mother's face was smudged, water-stained, almost erased. In the kitchen, the back door still hung open, letting in cold air and snowflakes that hissed against the floor. Aaron crouched, examining the footprints. Small feet, Eli's, led to the cellar door, but over them were larger ones. Bare, heavy, with a drag mark, as if someone had been limping or crawling. The man in the basement had been dead. He was sure of it. Ranger suddenly lunged toward the cellar again, barking sharply. Aaron's instincts kicked in. He aimed his flashlight and drew his weapon, descending the steps fast. The light swung across the basement. The man's body was gone. Only the ropes remained, twisted, stained, and a smear trail leading toward the far wall, behind an old oil tank. Aaron's pulse hammered. He followed the trail slowly, sweeping his light until it caught something metallic. A hatch, half buried under dirt and boards. Old storm shelter, maybe. He crouched. The padlock was broken. Recently. Ranger whined low, pulling back toward the stairs. Aaron gritted his teeth. Stay. He lifted the hatch and aimed his flashlight into the darkness. A tunnel, narrow, dug right into the earth. The air that rose from it was damp, rancid, like rotting meat and mold. Then he heard movement, scuffling, breathing. Eli, he called. No answer. He hesitated for a long moment, every instinct screaming to wait for backup. But there was no signal, no comms. And there was a child possibly trapped down there. He climbed down. The tunnel walls brushed his shoulders, clay and roots pressing in. His flashlight caught old boards bracing the sides, scratched with words, dozens of them, etched in jagged letters. It's hungry. Don't feed it again. He hears it. Aaron swallowed hard. Jesus Christ. The tunnel bent left, then opened into a small chamber. Dirt floor, candles burned to stubs, a circle drawn with chalk. Inside the circle, bones. Not animal. He stepped closer. The light trembled over the skeletal remains of a woman, wrists bound, ribs fractured. The smell of decay hit full force. Aaron turned, choking back bile. Eli. A sound answered him, a sob. He whipped the light around. Eli sat in the corner, knees pulled to his chest, shaking, his face streaked with tears and dirt. Eli, Aaron breathed, rushing forward. You scared me, kid. What the hell are you doing down here? The boy pointed toward the bones. That's my mom. Aaron froze. You're what? He said she went away. Eli whispered. But I heard her scream down here. He said the sickness made him do it. But it's not him, officer. It's it. Aaron's pulse pounded in his ears. What is it, Eli? The boy didn't answer. He just looked at something behind Aaron. Aaron turned. The man, Eli's father, was standing in the tunnel, head bent at an unnatural angle, eyes wide open, blood smeared down his jaw. His chest rose and fell in jerks. Sir, Aaron started, gun raised. The man moved fast, too fast, slamming Aaron against the wall. The gun clattered to the floor. Don't touch him, the man snarled, his breath hot and foul. It wants the boy. Aaron shoved back, grappling. The man's strength was wrong, unhuman, fueled by something deeper than rage. Ranger came bounding down the tunnel, barking furiously. He lunged, teeth sinking into the man's arm. The man howled, thrashing. Eli screamed. Aaron managed to wrench free, diving for his gun. He aimed and fired, one shot. The man dropped instantly, crumpling to the dirt. Silence. The smell of gunpowder mingled with earth and blood. Ranger whined, backing away, muzzle stained. Aaron's hands shook as he checked for a pulse. Nothing. He turned to Eli. Come on. We're leaving. Now. Eli's voice was small. You shouldn't have shot him. Aaron blinked. Kid, I didn't have a choice. He wasn't dead before, Eli said. Now you made it angry. Before Aaron could answer, the candle flames flickered, though there was no wind. Then a sound rose from the tunnel behind them, a wet, dragging noise. Aaron lifted the light, and his heart stopped. The man's body was gone. Again, only a dark smear remained, leading back toward the surface. Ranger started barking wildly, retreating toward the stairs. Aaron grabbed Eli, pulling him toward the tunnel entrance. Move, kid. Go. They crawled fast, the earth pressing close. Behind them, something followed, the sound of hands dragging, fingernails scraping dirt, wet breathing echoing in the narrow passage. They burst into the basement, gasping. Aaron slammed the hatch shut and shoved an old shelf across it. For a second there was silence. Then bang. Something hit the hatch from below. Again, harder. Eli clung to Aaron's leg. "It won't stop," he whispered. "It wants me." Aaron pulled him close, voice trembling despite himself. "Not tonight, kid. Not on my watch." They sprinted up the stairs, bursting into the living room. Ranger was already at the door, barking toward the trees. Outside, snow fell harder, thick flakes swirling under the flashing light of the cruiser still idling at the end of the drive. Aaron yanked the door open, shoving Eli toward the car. "Get in the back seat. Lock the doors." He turned back toward the house, flashlight sweeping over the porch, and froze. Footprints again, leading away from the house, into the woods. Bare, adult size, but this time they glowed faintly in the snow, like embers dying. Ranger growled low, head tilted. Aaron's radio crackled suddenly. "Unit 4, this is dispatch, status check. You've been radio silent for 20 minutes. He grabbed it fast. "Dispatch, it's Cole. Send every available unit to the Miller property on Hollow Creek. Officer involved shooting, possible multiple casualties. Child on scene." "Copy that. Hold position." Aaron lowered the radio, exhaling. He looked toward the woods. The footprints ended just at the tree line, swallowed by darkness. Then, faintly, from deep within the forest, came a sound. A man's voice, but not quite human. "Eli, come home." Eli screamed from inside the cruiser. Hands pressed against the glass. "That's him." Aaron sprinted to the car, climbing into the driver's seat. "We're leaving. Hang on tight." The cruiser's tires spun in the snow before gripping. As he turned the wheel, the headlights swept across the edge of the woods. And in that instant, Aaron saw him, the father, standing among the trees, naked, smiling, and right beside him, something else, something taller, blacker than the night, its shape wrong, its face hidden by a veil of snow and shadow. Eli's voice broke in a sob. "That's what he meant. That's the sickness." Aaron hit the gas. The cruiser roared down the frozen road, red and blue lights flashing against the white world. The radio sputtered again with distant voices, but he barely heard them. In the rear-view mirror for a heartbeat, he saw the figure still standing at the tree line, motionless, watching. That night, long after the backup arrived and the boy was taken to the county shelter, Aaron sat alone in his patrol car. The house on Hollow Creek loomed silent behind a police tape, but the air around it still hummed, faintly like a whisper. He thought of Eli's words. "He's not dead before. Now you made it angry." Ranger stirred in the back seat, ears twitching. Then the K-9 lifted his head and let out a low, uneasy growl, staring not at the house, but at the ground beneath the car. Aaron reached for the ignition. The engine clicked, then died. From beneath the cruiser, something knocked once, then twice. Eli's whisper echoed in his mind. "It lives under the house." The next morning, a gray light spread across Hollow Creek, like a bruise. Deputy Aaron Cole hadn't slept. He sat in the precinct briefing room, the half-empty cup of stale coffee in front of him shaking slightly in his hands. Across the table, Sheriff Danner watched it with the measured calm of a man who'd seen too much and believed too little. "So," Danner said finally, flipping open the report, "you're telling me you found a father dead, twice." Aaron rubbed his temples. "I know how it sounds." "Do you?" Aaron exhaled. "First time, I checked for a pulse. None. Second time, he was standing in a tunnel under the house. He attacked me. I fired one round, center mass. And after that, he vanished. Then he was in the woods. I saw him. Eli saw him too." Danner leaned back, eyes narrowing. "Cole, I've known you a long time. You're steady. You don't drink, you don't lie. But you're asking me to believe in. I'm not asking you to believe anything." Aaron cut in. "I'm telling you what I saw." Danner tapped the file. Coroner says the remains you found in that basement belonged to Hannah Miller. Been dead about a year. Husband reported her missing himself. No priors, no history of violence. But he slid a photo across the table. Those symbols you described? They're real. Crime scene techs found them etched into the foundation. Same markings from a cold case in '89. The Keller family murders. Aaron stared at the photo. Chalk circles. Strange shapes that looked like twisted hands. Those killings were ruled a cult incident. Aaron murmured. Yeah, Danner said. Except the lead detective quit 2 weeks later. Burned his notes. Shot himself in the chest. The sheriff closed the folder. Look, the kids at County Care. Child psychologists are talking to him. You did your job. Go home. Get some rest. Aaron nodded, but his stomach turned. Something about it felt unfinished, wrong. Ranger barked once from the hallway, as if echoing that feeling. That night, Aaron drove home through mist and frost, headlights carving weak tunnels in the dark. Ranger lay silent in the back seat, head on his paws. Snow still clung to his fur. He hadn't wanted to wash the smell off. When Aaron parked at his small house outside town, the silence hit him. He poured himself a drink he didn't want and sat on the couch, staring at the static on the muted TV. The knock came at 10:47 p.m. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Aaron froze. No one ever came out this far. He rose carefully, hand near his sidearm, and opened the door a few inches. Eli stood on the porch, alone, in the same clothes from that night. Eli, Aaron said, stunned. What are you doing here? Where's your caseworker? The boy's eyes looked dull, unfocused. They said I was sleeping, but I wasn't. Did you run away? He shook his head. It followed me. A cold draft slid into the room, carrying a smell Aaron knew too well, earth and rot. Eli inside. Now. The boy hesitated. You can't stop it, officer. Watch me. Aaron grabbed him gently and pulled him in, locking the door. Ranger was already growling, pacing near the back door, nose to the floor. Aaron knelt in front of the boy. Tell me exactly what you mean, Eli. What followed you? The boy's lip quivered. When you shot him, it left him. It needs someone else now. Aaron swallowed hard. Someone else. Eli looked up. It likes you. A crash came from the back of the house. Ranger lunged toward the hallway, barking violently. Aaron drew his gun, pushing Eli behind him. The sound came again, a door slamming open with splintering. Stay down. Aaron barked, moving slow and methodical. The hallway was dark. At the end, his bedroom door creaked open. Then a voice came from inside. His own. Aaron. He froze. The voice was exact. Tone, rhythm, even the weary rasp. You shouldn't have left the house, Aaron. Ranger bared his teeth, eyes locked on the darkness ahead. Aaron's hand trembled. Who's there? No answer. Only soft, uneven breathing. He stepped closer, every nerve on edge. The flashlight trembled slightly in his hand. The beam hit the mirror on the far wall, and for an instant, he saw himself reflected there. But something was off. The reflection smiled. He wasn't smiling. A sudden crack shattered the silence, the mirror splitting down the middle like glass under ice. From behind it, something pushed. The drywall bulged, then tore. A hand, gray, sinewed, crawling out like it was pulling itself from a grave. Aaron fired once. Twice. The thing shrieked, retreating into the wall. Ranger barked wildly. Move. Aaron shouted, grabbing Eli's hand. They ran for the front door, but it slammed shut on its own, the deadbolt clicking in place. Lights flickered. The air thickened. And then, from the corner of the room, the father's voice again, warped, gurgling. You shouldn't have shot me, deputy. Eli screamed. Aaron turned, backing them toward the kitchen. His flashlight beam swept over the living room, and there he was. The father, or what wore his face. His body sagged wrong, limbs jerking as if guided by invisible strings. His mouth moved, but his jaw hung loose. Please don't arrest me, it rasped. I'm sick. Aaron raised his gun, heart slamming against his ribs. You're not him. The thing grinned, and its skin rippled, dark veins threading across its neck, like black ink spreading underwater. Ranger lunged, teeth sinking into its leg. It howled, backhanding the K-9 across the room. Ranger hit the floor hard, but scrambled up again, snarling. Aaron fired. One shot hit, then another, but the thing didn't fall this time. It staggered forward, eyes glowing faintly amber. Eli's small voice cut through the chaos. The circle. You have to trap it in the circle. What circle? The one in the basement. Aaron's got twisted. The last place he wanted to go. He grabbed Eli by the arm. Stay close to me. They ran. The creature stepped thudding behind them. Down the stairs, through the old cellar door, Ranger bounding ahead despite the limp. The smell of rot was stronger now, suffocating. Aaron dropped to his knees, clearing the dirt until he saw the faint outline of the chalk circle still there, smeared but visible. Inside, he yelled, pushing Eli in. Don't step out. The creature came crashing down the stairs, roaring like metal grinding on metal. Aaron fired until the gun clicked empty, then swung a rusted pipe from the floor, striking it across the head. It reeled but didn't stop. Say it. Eli screamed. Say the words. What words? The boy pointed to the wall, old writing carved in the dirt. Return what you took. Aaron shouted it, voice breaking. Return what you took. The creature froze, trembling violently. Its face twisted not in pain but rage. You can't send me back. Aaron stepped forward, shouting again. Return what you took. The floor shook. The chalk circle flared. Faint light searing up through the dirt. The creature lunged one last time, and Ranger leapt between them, biting deep into its throat. There was a flash, not light but darkness collapsing inward, pulling everything with it. And then silence. When Aaron woke, the basement was quiet again. Eli sat beside him, clutching Ranger, whose fur was singed but breathing steady. Is it gone? The boy whispered. Aaron looked at the circle, just dirt now. Yeah, I think so. Sirens wailed faintly outside, drawing closer. He put a hand on Eli's shoulder. It's over. But even as he said it, he knew that was only half true. Epilogue. Weeks later, Hollow Creek thawed. The Miller house was condemned, fenced off, scheduled for demolition. No one wanted to step foot inside. Aaron returned once, alone. He stood by the ruins, watching the wind scatter snow over the empty foundation. Ranger sat at his side, calmer now, though he still refused to go near basements. Aaron thought about Eli, now living with foster parents in another county. The kid sent him a letter, shaky handwriting. Thank you for helping my dad. I think he's not sick anymore. Sometimes I hear him in my dreams. He says thank you, too. Aaron folded the letter carefully, tucking it into his jacket. As he turned to leave, he caught something faint in the wind, not a whisper this time, but a sigh. Peaceful, almost human. He exhaled, eyes on the horizon. Rest now, he murmured. Ranger nudged his hand, tail wagging softly. Aaron smiled, tired but real. Let's go home, partner. They walked back toward the cruiser, snow crunching underfoot. Behind them, the wind carried one last echo from the broken earth. A boy's voice, distant and small. Please don't arrest my dad, he's sick. Then silence.